Purpose After Sports is proudly sponsored by The Factory, Bloomington's go-to spot for athletes, former athletes, and anyone staying active. From personalized training programs to their CrossFit-style group fitness classes, they are here to support you and help you keep moving and feeling your best. So make sure to visit thefactorybn.com to learn more. Big thanks to The Factory for partnering with Purpose After Sports. Welcome to Purpose After Sports, where we interview athletes to share their post-sport journeys and explore how they are reinventing what it means to compete. You might recognize this guest. We're trying to slowly convince him to keep coming on. This is Chad Hobbs. He is a former/current athlete and a business owner. He owns the Athlete Factory here in Bloomington, Illinois. So happy to have you again.
Glad to be back. I'm sure it's probably, you had so many followers sign up for my last appearance that,
yes,
you just want to boost those numbers again. I get it. It's all right. Let's do this.
Exactly. Engagement was crazy. So I want to give the audience, for whoever doesn't know you, just a little bit of brief background again on your sports history, a little bit of your credentials, and the awesome space that you own right now.
I'll be brief because, I think I went over some of this in our last interview, but went to high school at Ridgeview, played high school basketball, went on to college, junior college basketball, first at Lakeland, then my last 2 years at an NAIA school called Mayville State in North Dakota. And then right out of college, took a brief break working at the Ozarks, and then came and got a personal training job at Gold's Gym in Bloomington. That was late 2007. And then I opened CrossFit Bloomington Normal in September of 2009. So I was about a month before my 25th birthday, I opened the gym. And then it's morphed now into the factory where we do adult group classes. We have personal training, and then we have the Athlete Factory as well, where we'll train anywhere from 4th grade up to professional level athletes. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
That was great.
So my life is built around.
This gym is awesome. He's very humble, but if you live in the area, please come because it's awesome.
I would love that.
And
good plug.
Yeah,
good plug.
Of course. I'll plug because I know he won't. But great establishment, great people, and they really care. So as we're getting into season 2 of the podcast, I want to give the audience a voice. And I get, questions, DMs, and a big one that comes up is about the gym. And as former athletes, how do we get back into the gym comfortably? The fears, the excitement, what to do, all of those questions. So we, across a couple different social medias, asked you guys questions that you had or have, and we're here to answer them. So we have a couple from you guys, some that I had when I was an athlete, and we're just going to get right into it and talk through do's and don'ts, the mistakes we made, what we can get.
Yeah, I love the Q&A concept. I think, the long form talks that we have are great, and they raise awareness. They provide relatability with a lot of athletes. And I'm going through that too. Cool. Now there's my inspiration to, do that. But the Q&A I think is super important because now we're really getting into the details of kind of problem solving. Right. I really like that. Yeah.
All right, we're going to start. We got a couple different sections here. We'll start easy with you. The first question we have
I don't know how I'm supposed to take that, but yeah, let's roll.
So we get kind of deep.
Yeah,
all
right.
The first one is, what inspired you to start going to the gym again after stepping away from competitive sports?
I think, I had that brief break where after college basketball, you still have half a semester left.
Yeah.
Where I was an exercise science major, so I was still working out. I wasn't truly ever really healthy my last 2 years of college, so I knew working out made me feel better.
Yeah.
Just straight up, like I wasn't the same, mentally, physically, if I wasn't working out. So I did know the importance of working out that it had on myself. And then I worked down at the Ozarks for, the summer after I graduated college, and there's, no work. It was all work and then a lot of play, but not really any working out at that point. You know, there'd just be days where I got to do some push-ups or something, like just be physical. But I had a physical job, right?
Yeah.
But then came back as a personal trainer, so I was already in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
As admittedly a much easier transition for someone like me going into the field. You're in the gym, you're around it. And if you believe that you should practice what you preach, I think that made it a far easier transition for me than someone going into a completely unrelated field and then having to incorporate, working out into your life. But I did understand the importance. I knew I needed to do it. Initially it was traditional forms of working out and playing basketball because I still wasn't over that point in my life. And, and to a point I'm still not, but I would say I'm probably more of a casual observer now than a player. Randomly I'll get out and play.
We hear about it later.
Yeah. I mean, because I still got it. That's why you got to hear about it. Right, you won't hear about my percentage, but you might hear about all the shots I made.
Right.
But no, I mean, I do think, I was fortunate that I had an easier transition. What about you, though? You
probably
kind of have similar, right?
Yeah. I worked out here, which we talked about in our last episode, and I've kind of been, I don't even know, like a gym fanatic. I love working out. Just being in a gym makes me happy. But my degree wasn't in this field or anything like that. So when I graduated, I thought I got to find something in my degree. That was kind of my focus. And working out, I was just like, I was just kind of always told what to do, but I know I liked being in the gym. And then I got a chance to, I kind of begged my former strength and conditioning coach. She owned a gym and opened up one, and I begged her to work for her. And that's when I found my love of like, okay, I actually really like this industry, not just being in the gym, but helping others, teaching. And so she very much convinced me, led me to get my certifications and things like that, and helped kind of take me under her wing.
Yeah.
So,
well, like, I can maybe speak to what I've seen a lot of, because that's probably what more, I don't think everybody can relate to us.
Yeah.
Because we got into the field,
Yeah.
right? And this might be a question later on, but I think what I've seen is a lot of people have bad experiences in college or high school with their strength conditioning programs and or sport programs where it completely consumes their life. They lose their identity. You've talked about that a lot and raised a lot of awareness around that. But, what I've seen is a lot of people, it's hard for them to get started again because they've taken such a break.
Yes.
And then it's like the first hurdle I see a lot of time is comparing yourself to your old self. Well, I can't do this anymore, so why do anything?
Exactly.
Or being very self-conscious.
Yeah.
Because maybe you've put on a little bit of weight since being super active, or you don't feel like the same person. You don't have the same confidence because you were used to being looked at as this and now you're not that anymore. Yeah. So I think that's the first hurdle to get over. But I do think we overcomplicate it. I think everybody overcomplicates it, and you just got to get started. If I feel like at this point, you might be, no harm by saying this, but willingly ignorant in the sense of you just don't really want to learn about it. But I do feel like at this point, if you don't know the importance of fitness, especially through the pandemic, what we saw with, those who, were more fit, took better care of themselves, weren't as affected. Now, obviously there's outliers, and I'm not even getting into that whole debate, but you know what I mean? Like, you see the numbers there. There's been a lot of awareness in the last couple of years. So I do kind of feel like if you don't understand the importance of it, you might be kind of living under a rock. However, understanding the importance of it and getting started are two different things.
Absolutely.
So that's not to throw shade at anybody who's not gotten started. It's just you're looking for ways, what is the best thing? And I do think it's just kind of just get rolling. And, us as athletes, we're used to having coaches. That's the big one, right? You're used to kind of having things laid out for you. Yeah. You might have had a skill coach. You might have had a strength condition coach. You might have had a sport coach, or all three. So, I'm biased because I run a coached gym. This isn't an open gym really concept here. So if you can find a gym where some of that thinking's done for you, it simplifies the entire process. how should I build my program? What sets and reps should I do? And now you're thinking in the gym, and I don't like to think when I'm working out.
Right.
I need to turn off. Yeah.
No, and I like that too, because when I first got into it, and I didn't even know I was struggling on what to do in the gym, because I still call her Coach Bear. Shout out to
I'll
you.
call every coach I've ever had Coach.
Right.
Their first name doesn't exist to me.
Exactly. She tries to tell me, and I'm like, no, it'll never work. But when she opened her gym and I started going to her, I mean, it was still her still yelling at me, you're not doing enough, or like in the best way, but like her telling me, Mickey, that's not enough weight, and like still coaching me throughout the whole process. So I'm like, this is just like how I was as an athlete. Like, this isn't bad. But then I realized when I started, doing the research and started being by myself and kind of teaching and learning, that not everybody gets that experience.
Right.
So it can be really intimidating on like what to even do when you step in. So
no doubt. Just to piggyback last one before we go to another question, which we're probably diving into them in this conversation, is I do think finding a community, whether it's a normal kind of Globo style gym where you're doing your own thing, you can find a community there as well.
Yes.
Or a gym like we provide where the community is provided for you, and you kind of maybe you gravitate towards the classes or friends that you've made more often than not. But I think finding a community it goes along with the whole team concept, right? It's like a built-in accountability.
Okay, this is a good question for you, especially for like kind of the male and female side of things. Did you ever have or face anxiety when walking into a public gym at all? How did you overcome it?
I did a little bit more so, I think, as a trainer in this industry. Look, as a basketball player, I'm an average built dude, right? 5'9.5", okay? 5'9.5". Like mid 170s. Like I am an relatively average build, right? Yeah. But for basketball, I'm very short. For a male in this industry, relatively on the smaller stature.
Yeah.
So early on, I had, some self-consciousness around that. Generally, I wouldn't let it show. Sometimes I'd probably compensate by trying to be funny or, overzealous with certain things. But there was anxiety in the sense of self-consciousness of just kind of my stature, and, all the other trainers are generally bigger than me and things like that. But I don't know, that it also was never really a big appeal for me to try to, go up to 200 pounds or whatever. But I still hear in my head, like, there'll be someone saying, oh, that's because, you just couldn't get there, right? Like, I hear that right now, and I'm 40 years old.
Yeah.
Or you didn't want to put in the work to get in there. And like, yeah, I didn't. Okay.
Actually, I did not.
Yeah. But, I think I don't think it's just a male problem, but I can speak from the male ego sort of thing. You're in the gym, and you can't help sometimes, like, especially in the Globo gym style concept, you can't help but kind of look around and, like, if there's like some jack dudes lifting, and like, that might put you a little bit more self-conscious because you're not able to do similar weight or whatever, right? I mean, I don't think it's just females that have body image issues or anything like that. I think it's just far less talked about with males.
Would agree.
Yeah. What about from a female perspective?
I had a immense amount stepping into commercial gyms because of how big they were, and depending on the time you go, I mean, it's just so crowded. You feel like everyone's staring. Nobody cares, but you just feel like everybody's staring at you.
Especially in those pauses where you're like waiting on equipment.
Yes, and then the cute girlies that's got their fits on, and I'm an athlete, so I'm baggy shorts, the biggest t-shirt I can find. Like, I'm just here to work out, and then sometimes incorporating your athlete workouts at the gym looks a little crazy to your normal everyday person. Yeah. But those are just the style of workouts I like. So I did had a lot that I had to overcome, like being in that atmosphere. But I think as I got more comfortable with what I know and what works and what I'm happy with, and be more comfortable in myself, that's when I was like, no one really cares.
Yeah.
No one really cares.
I think people cared when I was like doing CrossFit competitive style workouts at the end of my reign at Gold's, where I'd like run up to a treadmill up the stairs and then run back down to a pull-up bar and then run across the room for like dumbbells.
Yeah.
Like that was I don't recommend that. If you're into CrossFit, don't do it in like a global gym.
That would be insane to try to do.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Good gosh. What role did the gym play in helping you transition out of competitive sports?
Well, I kind of mentioned CrossFit there towards the end. Like, CrossFit kind of woke me up, and I don't, we do group fitness that's kind of inspired by how we used to apply it when we were a CrossFit gym. But early on, when I was in that competitive stage, 24, 23, 24, 25, that range, I really never had a great time working out. And I think part of it I graduated college at, 153 pounds.
Okay.
So I'm up about over 20 from where I graduated college. So, I mean, smaller than I am now. And like being in a gym, I think some of that self-consciousness kind of came into play, but like CrossFit it gave me some competitiveness. It gave me like, where it wasn't all just about lifting as heavy as you could. There were components of things that I could excel at as well. And then that also made me kind of like want to get stronger in some other areas and all that. But I think that was a good transition for me early on. It's not my mindset at all anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never really, other than about a 3-month break from graduating college, 3 to 4 months to starting at Gold's, I never really took a break in my life of being pretty physically active on a relatively day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So I don't think I have the same experience as a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it was just something I knew I needed to keep in my life, because I knew like the way I felt, especially towards the tail end of that time down at the Ozarks, like I was like, I got to make some changes and get back to like my at least somewhat of a routine I had with physical activity.
Can we talk about, because we've kind of talked about CrossFit, can we talk about the different type of group workouts there are? We have CrossFit, you have HIIT, which you can do in the style, Pilates, yoga, things like that. Can you dive into a little bit more of like what CrossFit is?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, when you're looking to get in the gym and finding a community. So if you're going to go the coached route that I was talking about, where you're going to have some guidance and you get to take some thinking out of the equation. There's CrossFit gyms. There's, gyms like mine. We're built around the way our adult group classes work. We're built around a coach-led warm-up and then a coach-led strength portion, and then your choice to either do a HIIT style circuit or just extra strength work on your own. So you have a choice day to day to do a circuit style training or just more sets and reps of stuff, accessory work. And then we all come together at the very end, those who branched off for the circuit or branched off for the optional strength. Then they go into, everyone comes back together and does a little more accessory at the end. So call that whatever you want. I don't know. Like I think some people think like CrossFit developed HIIT training. It had been around prior, but I think there's just maybe more terminology and more of a competitive aspect when you do like CrossFit, to like how fast could you get that workout done? How many rounds could you get? All that stuff. So there's CrossFit. There's the way we do it. There is Orange Theory. There's yoga classes. There's jazzercise. There's boot camps. There's whatever speaks to you.
Right.
I am big on, tell my staff this a lot, do the best workout for you. Mm-hmm. And the best workout for you is the one that you're going to do consistently. Straight up.
That part.
Right?
Yeah.
What can you throw into your routine? For me, I'm Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. like clockwork, 11:30s on Fridays usually. So I do 5 days a week. I take the weekends off. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to try this style because you've been convinced it's better, and maybe scientifically, like we program our group template the way we do because we think it's the best way for the majority of people to work out. Mm-hmm. But what if I tell you that's the best way and you try it and you're not really taken to it, and that's not going to keep you involved on a 3-day, 4-day a week basis, but you would rather do like an Orange Theory concept where, you're on the treadmill or rower and kind of lighter hit style. I've never taken an Orange Theory class, but this is my perception. And it's different than how we do it, but that's going to keep you consistent. Great, do that.
Right.
And then maybe 2-3 years of that, then you take to what we do more, because I think people kind of change it up. We try to accommodate the individual as much as possible in the group setting.
Yeah.
And I think that's the challenge of group exercise is it's programmed as a template for the group. A lot of places, maybe it's Farrell's, maybe it's Orange Theory, maybe whatever. Everybody, you might take your weight selections or change your speed on your stuff, but you're essentially doing the same movements as everybody.
Right.
We try to really, hey, here's the template. The more I know you as an individual, and we've had our goal discussions, I'm going to say, hey, maybe instead of this movement, do a completely different one because that fits you. And you can incorporate it into this workout like this.
Right.
But you're still a part of the group. You're just not necessarily doing the exact same thing as everybody else. Yeah. Am I leaving anything out?
No.
You can think of?
There's nothing else that we need to discuss. He has covered everything. No. Also, sarcasm aside, thank you for covering all that. And I want to talk about a little off script about group workouts because I feel like they are super important. And like you said, whatever works, go with it. And whatever you can keep up with, that's super important. And it's going to be trial and error. You might go to a gym and you might like it and it might stick for, like you said, 2 to 3 years, and that's okay. And if you want to try something else, it doesn't mean it just didn't work. It just means you might want to try something else.
Your goals may change. Your lifestyle may change.
Exactly.
A lot of times people set goals that don't match their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So what are you willing to change? Your goal or your lifestyle?
Right.
Because they got to coincide, right? So that's a really big thing. If you want this certain aesthetic look or performance, and then you get with someone that tells you, hey, this is kind of how you have to do it.
Yeah.
But you're not willing to give up the things in your lifestyle or change your way of training, then you got to change your goals.
Yeah.
To fit the style of training you do and the lifestyle you have out there. And I think that's very, very important because, when you follow Influencer X or this article you read or that thing you saw on TV, everybody's convinced you can do this, that, or the other. But you have to be realistic with how you're going to approach your goal and your lifestyle. They got to mesh.
Absolutely. And my group workout experience was a little bit different. I don't know if you can relate to this at all, but you get out of college and I was in a team sport. So group workouts are highly recommended. You see it all over. Like it's the same as when you were an athlete. And so when I started doing group workouts, I was obsessed. I loved it. I had so much fun. And I did them for a pretty long time. And then all of a sudden, I just started hating it. I was, I wasn't motivated to go anymore. Yeah. I would be in the atmosphere and I just it was just a drag. It wasn't fun anymore. And I couldn't figure out what was this switch. And so I took some time to separate myself and kind of really think why is it butting heads now? And I realized that every time I would step into the gym, I had made an imaginary competition. Yep. And I was going to be in first place. No one knew. No one else was competing with me. But as soon as I stepped in the gym,
they may have been doing the same thing you were.
Precisely. But in my head, it was now, you're in this competition with imaginary ribbons, balloons are coming down. You have to go as hard as you can. You have to beat this person next to you who could care less. But then it just became this, I have to outwork everyone. And it became a toxic environment for me, myself, because I'm so competitive. Yeah. And so once I took back and realized you can still have fun in group workouts, it doesn't have to be that intensity as when you were an athlete. That's when I realized, okay, I can start slowly coming back into it and on my own journey when I'm having fun again. But when I noticed that it's Mick,
yeah,
we need to step away again.
No, I think that is a great point because I see that a lot. And I think it does come back to what I said before, understanding your personal goals and being able to hold yourself accountable to achieve those. Yeah. And also having great coaches that are there to remind you of that. Yeah. I think sometimes it's a you problem and sometimes it's a way that a group class might be coached, that coach might be instilling that in everybody. Go, go, go. Oh, they're beating you, like all that. Catch up to them, like this, that, and the other. Like, so I think it could be the vibe of the gym and how they approach it. You know, some gyms have that competitive feel and that's the way they want to run it, and that's more power to them.
Yeah.
But if that's not the fit for you, don't feel like that's the only way or the only thing that's out there.
Yeah.
And then if you're looking for that, by all means, go for it.
Right.
You know, but I think it's important to always reflect on yourself and what you're trying to accomplish. Finding the community that is closest to that, and then going to allow you to. I think it's good to have a little of that.
Oh, of course, of course. It will never go all the way away.
But it's good to have a little of that. It's good to have a little of that competitive edge, but not let it totally consume you to the point of, are you getting injured? Yes. Are you overtraining? Are you straying from your goals? Because that's,
Right.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, working out, believe it or not, is supposed to be, fun. Like it's supposed to, might not be in the moment, but at the end, you can chit chat with people in the gym, or you just feel good at the end of it. And if you start to notice yourself, at least personally, walking away and just more upset than when you came in there, or, notice you're in those lows way more than the highs, then maybe it's a different type of workout, or find something different.
I think that's one of the best points, is because I think people think, I'm in this industry. I've been in this industry for almost 17 years. I don't really like the act of working out.
Yeah.
I enjoyed playing basketball. The reason I went to a single sport athlete in high school is because basketball was the only sport I liked to practice.
Yeah.
I hated practicing anything else. But the art of lifting weights and working out for the sake of working out, I genuinely don't really enjoy that.
Right.
Especially solo. So I'm a person that thrives off, community and people around. So that helps being in a community-based group structure. But the physical act of like squatting with a bar on my back, I really don't like to do, but I am addicted to that feeling after.
Yes.
And that, the further I've gotten into, I mentioned stoicism in the last podcast and stuff like that. The art of starting your day or incorporating something in your day that you don't want to do makes everything else easier. 100%. And working out's one of those things for me.
100%.
For sure.
I think that's going to be a hot take because I'm the same way. But afterwards I feel really good, and it lets me get out the competitiveness that I need to. But yeah, and I also think that being in industry, we also can kind of get looked at sometimes as, oh, you're always just so motivated, it's easier for you. It's like, you wouldn't want to hear the percentage of how I'm actually motivated. No. Like it's pretty low. But like you said, when you build those routines, those good habits, and you stick to them, and can see what comes from the other side of sticking with those, then it becomes worth it again, and and all the good health benefits.
Yeah, it's like stacking good habits, right?
Yeah.
The more consistent I got with my workouts, then it's like, okay, maybe I want to throw some out. Now I cold plunge every morning right after I wake up, and by doing that, I don't want to get in that water ever. I stand there and I'm like, let's go. And then get out. I feel amazing. I'll knock out, something, push-ups or something after, try to do a little bit of yoga, come in and work out. And now I've just stacked 4 positive things for me before 9 a.m.
Right.
And that's always, it's been a building process over time. And, and then it's like, but it helps me throughout the rest of my day. It helps me conquer, like, all right, I don't want to do all this back end bookwork stuff. Yeah. But I was able to hop in that water and I was able to do my workout I didn't want to do, so I'm going to do this. It makes life easier.
So piggybacking off of habits, what if somebody has a question, is it better to work out in the morning or evening? Is there some type of myth regarding that? Do you find a better time?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Whatever works for you that you can stay consistent with. Yeah. You could go into, there's research, that you can pull that is going to say first thing in the morning, or if it's this type of workout, midday, or, do your lifting in the morning and cardio at night. I don't know how many people have time to do a 2 a day, working out too late is going to affect sleep patterns. But if that's all you're going to be able to work out. So for me, it is whatever works best for you and your schedule. That is how I'll leave that always, because 10 years ago I would have given you a different answer.
Yeah.
But I'm at a point in my career now where I've seen so much and what does work for people, and I will always come back to whatever is most consistent, the most consistent positive habits you have. Continue.
Yeah, because that's what you're going to stick with.
Exactly. What about you? When do you like to work out personally?
Personally, I love getting it done in the morning.
Yeah.
I always joke around. I am not the morning person, but I'm up. I'm always up at the crack of dawn, but I'm not like your, good morning.
Just hop in that cold water, you'll be straight.
Good gosh. But yeah, I love getting out. But with my schedule, especially recently, it's been whenever I can get it in. But like you said, it's whatever works and your stage in life. And
for sure.
So as long as I can get something in, whether that's sometimes even having to just do something at home.
Yeah.
It makes me feel a lot better.
100%.
So
yeah, me personally, it is morning, because I started noticing if I said I was going to work out at 11:30 or 3:30, something inevitably pops up.
Oh yeah.
But in the morning, generally, if you protect that time, it's so that's me personally.
I think the after work people are a different breed. That is tough. Like you're working.
I'm so impressed by our people that I see 5 days a week working out at 5:30 or 4:30.
That is amazing to me. Like you get done with a hard day of work and then straight into the gym. Like,
but you know what I think I've seen a lot of people, it's like after that hard day of work, they almost like that better as the de-stressor. It's like, okay, I'm going to take out, my anger towards my boss on this ball slam.
Hey, true.
But I think, it's a good decompressor and de-stressor for a lot of people too.
No, I can definitely see it like that. And getting to talk to maybe a community that allows you to get outside the work.
No doubt. Yep.
So I can see that for sure, but props to you guys. Yeah. That is tough. Let's see what other questions that our audience had. Okay, this would be a good one, going back to kind of our commercial gym talk. If someone approaches a piece of equipment and doesn't know what its function is, how would you recommend they go about it?
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, I haven't been in a commercial gym for a while. I mean, when I travel or whatever, I'll always hit, my travel workout is always like 2 to 3 monster sets in a hotel, like exercise place. Yeah. I am legit in and out in less than half an hour when I travel. But anyways, I'll see the machines and stuff, and they always have the picture on the side usually, almost all the time, right? Yeah. They always have the picture on the side showing a few things. And it's hard to mess up a machine unless you're completely not paying attention to the picture and you're trying to do like leg press and a chest press machine, which we've seen those viral videos, right? However, not making fun of people trying to work out. So do your thing. Right. Just be safe about it out there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, check the picture out, experiment, put the pin in. Oh, that was too heavy. Let's move it around, and find what works for you. Generally, at least come in with some sort of a plan of maybe a workout you found in a, I was about to say magazine. Who looks at magazines anymore? and online or whatever you follow, but maybe you come in with a plan and you try that out, and don't be afraid to stick to a plan. I mean, it does help. But it goes back to kind of taking thinking out of the equation, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's just experiment. Again, you said it earlier. No one's really watching you in the gym. You think everybody is. No one really cares at the end of the day. And if you are that person, I don't want to associate with you. If you're the person like watching someone else and judging them on how they're working out.
Yeah. That's what it's not there for.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you can use it like as a grocery list too. Like if you don't come in with a plan, you're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. Which again, just getting in the gym and working out is great, but coming in with a plan can help you if like equipment is being used, where to, jump to the next thing. And it helps you just stay focused. Yeah. In and out. So.
And you're going to resort to the same thing every day if you don't have a plan. Yeah. If I'm going in and just shooting around in basketball, I'm probably just shooting step back threes like all day long
Yeah.
and not working on anything else. You know what I mean? But if my coach gave me a workout to do, that's what I'm going to follow.
No, that is some good advice. No step back threes in the gym. One thing we take away from this. Can we talk about strength training? We hear it kind of a lot more now, and you hear it as an athlete. What does it look like as a former athlete stepping in the gym?
Yeah, I mean, I you know, my bias, and that's what we do, doesn't change the science. You know, I mean, there's no shortage of research that everyone needs to strength train in some capacity. Now, again, go back to if you're in a style of working out that's what's going to keep you going consistently, and that's what's going to keep your mental right, and it's absolutely better than nothing. Like even just from a cardiovascular standpoint, that's fine. Do that, but really think about incorporating strength training in some capacity into your routine. Just quality of life, longevity. You know, do you want to be able to, you know, always do you need help putting a bag of dog food in a car from a grocery store?
Right.
You know, like you can see differences in muscle mass and, you know, let's call it 65-year-olds and when they end up in a nursing home compared to those that have higher muscle mass and don't. There's brain health benefits. The benefits are too many to name to go into this podcast, but I absolutely people need to strength train in some capacity. How that looks is going to depend on what you kind of gravitate towards and all that. But yeah, I mean, it needs to be done. There's no shortage of research out there.
So let's say an individual is doing Pilates throughout the week. You still think they should add that into their schedule?
I think it depends on. I think there's different forms of Pilates, right? There's, but don't get me wrong. I've been in a yoga or Pilates class with people that I'm like, oh, I'm going to crush this.
Yeah.
And they're over there holding this pose for 3 minutes and I'm sweating and, you know, dropping my head and taking a break on the floor and all that. So there's different types of strength, right? Generally, they're going to be very isometrically strong in areas. And that's great. I think a comprehensive approach is the best way to do it, right? Incorporate isometrics and all sorts, eccentrics, concentric, all that stuff. Incorporate it all. But yeah, I think it just depends, right? If you don't have any, I mean, Pilates, you know, has a good amount of body weight strength, right? And that'd be like relative strength. And then there's like absolute strength, right? So relative, like how well can you move your own body? Yeah. Can you do pull-ups? Can you do push-ups, full range, like things like that? And then it's like absolute, like how much weight can you move, you know? So yeah, I think there's different ways, but I think you need to incorporate a little bit of everything.
I would agree too.
Yeah.
I think, and then also a little variety can help you not reach burnout, which
for sure
we haven't really dove into yet. Have you experienced burnout at all in your
I mean,
fitness journey?
I definitely have. When I was CrossFit competing and things like that, it gets to a point when you're in that competitive working out style where you're chasing, you're getting to a level where then those next gains are there, you know, the novice effect, you get gains like crazy your first couple, you know, if you don't have any experience, your first like 2 years, you're going to have just amazing progress. Compared to someone who's got a training age of 8 or 10, they've been lifting for 8 to 10 years, right?
Right.
Thereafter, a 2-pound increase in their lift, where in the novice you're getting 10-pound, 20-pound PRs all the time. But for me, the burnout came when I had to make a decision: did I want to be a better worker-outer or a better business owner? And I started having to dedicate 2-a-days, you know, hour and a half here, hour and a half in the afternoon, to start chasing some performance goals. And it got to a point where it's like, but I also have a business to run, and that's what I honestly care more about. Yeah. And I don't really need to go the route of competitively working out anymore. I will work out. I'll get my stuff done in an hour. might do some random stuff every once in a while with no plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I catch myself on a Sunday, and I don't do hardly anything on Sundays, but like watching football for 8 hours on the couch, there's going to be like 3 times during that, I'm going to get up and I'm going to knock out like 30 push-ups or,
Yeah.
like some air squats or something just to move a little bit. But outside of that, yeah, I mean, I want to get my stuff done in an hour. I want to go about my day, and my whole life is not built around working out.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Believe it or not.
Yeah, right. What about you?
We've talked about this a little bit months ago. I don't know if you'd consider mine burnout, a rut, of what mine was, but mine was, I would say, not a complete year after my first year being out of college basketball, but we're into January, so the next year technically, and I just stopped.
Yeah.
Just stopped completely going to the gym. I just couldn't do it. I again was in that self-reflection mode of what's going on. Why can't I just put my gym shoes on? Why can't I go to the gym? And my mentor coach at the time, we had a long sit down and talk just about things, and that's when I was honest. And it was a time I was normally in season, so I was really down about. I didn't know it at the time, but I was down because I did love working out, but it wasn't giving me that same. This was my favorite time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is normally I don't have anything to worry about. I got a game tomorrow.
Right.
I'm with my team, but like now it's just I walk in the gym and I love the atmosphere. I love the people, but it's not your teammates that are pushing you around or things like that. So I don't know if it's the same as burnout, but it was a time where I was missing a lot of everything but the gym in that aspect. So we had that deep talk, took that break that I needed, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back now. And truthfully, I recognize them now each year that they come. It's never that extreme anymore, but I'm now a lot better at recognizing, okay, hey, Mick, like, it's getting to that time, the winter's leaves falling, like, it's still going to be your favorite time of year, but we got to find a different way.
Well, I think it's really interesting, too, that when that time's up, because that's the time where traditionally a lot of people suffer from seasonal depression, is that winter. As basketball players, that was our sport. So that's when we're on our high. And now when you no longer have that, it's like, what?
No,
And that some of that can kick in for sure. So if you're not careful, I mean, again, we go to the benefits of working out. You want to take a magic pill to help with things like depression, with better, responses to food, insulin resistance, sleep quality, mental clarity, everything. Working out is that magic pill.
Yeah.
You just have to do it consistently. And then, you just be smart about it. But I mean, I think that's interesting though, that how you phrase that and how it lines up with the most common time of seasonal depression too.
Yeah. Yeah, because normally my magic field was basketball. So I was like, winter was fine because I knew we got games.
Yeah, for sure.
But then when that's taken away. And I think also too, kind of spitballing off that, if you can or get the chance to have an accountability partner, I think, I don't know if you've ever done something like that, but I think that has helped too, whether you have an opportunity to text a coach, or I've done it with some members through Pass where we'll just set up a DM and all it is someone checking in, and I got my workout in, or you'd say what you did that day. And I think that helps too with ruts of just like get a little kick in your back, just like get in there. And so
it's totally okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
And that's why I think this channel's so great. It's kind of providing that outlet. But, with working out, like, we also can't neglect the fact like the body wants to be at rest. Right? So if you allow that to happen over and over, then it becomes that habit where it doesn't want to stray from that. And that's where we have to be very careful to just allow that to set in and not fight that.
Agreed. Let's see what other questions our audience has for you. I kind of already talked about that. What about Is there a question that you can think about? I'm looking at this.
Trying to think here. I mean, I think we've talked about group a lot, and I think that's one of the best ways to build community. But not to over or underestimate the power of working out on your own. That's fine as long as you kind of learn about it and it forces you. Like I've seen some of people make the best progress when they really start to take things, even in our group classes, when they really start to take things into their own hands and not just rely on the coach for everything.
Yeah.
Like when we've told them something, let's say from a workout standpoint or nutritional, whatever, but they take the accountability to go learn about it and then find how to tweak it to best fit themselves as well.
Yeah.
So now you're using that coach and your own knowledge base to get better gains and all that stuff. But I think, personal training is big too. Obviously a little bit more expensive, but if you can afford it, now you're getting a workout that's tailored specifically to you if you have a great trainer.
Yeah.
Right. So, consulting with someone who's going to hold you accountable, someone who's going to build a program specifically for you, be there kind of for everything. That's why you pay a premium for it. But, a lot of times that is the best thing individually for everyone. Now, if you're, again, if you're not getting, you're getting a kind of a friend and accountability person with your trainer.
Yeah.
And if there's other people that train around the same time, you can have that community with that as well, which we do a lot of that in our personal training department and semi-private stuff. There's a handful at the same time in the facility that now they've all become friends, but they're still working with a coach.
Exactly.
So I think that's a great option as well.
I think to again, kind of self-plug, but also bring awareness, like, we have with past written workout programs. So even a person that likes to work out on their own, but just needs something to do, maybe it's different than what they do. We can have those written workout programs. And then we have an exercise library where you can see, and then you can always reach out to us for questions. And then you guys have something similar, like an online platform. If someone wants to do that, and the exercises are provided in there. So that's always an option too. If like,
get programming from somebody. Yeah.
Exactly. If maybe personal training is not, I don't want somebody standing over me all the time, but I know I just don't want to think about it, but I don't like group. There's so many options.
Yes.
So never be afraid to, just keep exploring.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's endless options.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. As we wrap up here, let's see. Okay. I would say, all right, my last question for you is going to be a little different. I still want you to give advice, but what advice would you give to current athletes who are worried about their fitness journey and how it might change after sports?
Kind of to wrap up everything we've talked about with that question is, it's not going to be the same. I'm just going to tell you that straight up. Like, understand it's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
Unless you're one of the, we said after sports, right? So that could be even if you turn to pro and your after sport is 30 or 35.
Right.
It is not going to be the same. And you need to come to terms with that. That's completely fine. You got to take matters into your own hands. But knowing what you know about the power of exercise, try not to stay away from it too long. I understand a break. We've all taken them.
Yeah.
I absolutely understand that. But understand what it does for you personally, mentally, professionally. When you take care of yourself, you can take care of others better. When you take care of yourself, you're a better employee or boss or just worker in general. When you take care of yourself, you are just in a better place mentally. I think that is one of the biggest keys, is the mental effects of everything. I love how much we've raised mental awareness and to talk about stuff like that, and it's okay to get a therapist and all that. There's been a huge rise in that over the last 5 years, 10 years, whatever. But I think what gets lost is the action to take at times too, outside of just talking about it.
Absolutely.
There are physical actions that you can take that will definitely help, and tying all that together. So yeah, I mean, just don't underestimate the power of continuing a fitness journey, but being able to restructure your goals, your mindset, reflect on what you really want now, because now it's not dictated for you by a coach. Unless you get into a coach that helps you with your goals in fitness and then they hold you accountable. But, like a team, you don't have a choice, right?
Right, yeah.
You are doing this, you are going to be here, you're going to do that, right? So I just think, just understand it's a powerful thing, and you should always keep it a part of your life.
I like that. Embrace your journey. It's going to be different, but a good different.
For sure.
Thank you again for taking time out of your very busy schedule.
Thank you for having me.
To be on again. If you guys like episodes like this, make sure to like and subscribe, turn those notifications on. And we will see you again next week.
See ya.